I cannot believe that we're already in the back half of 2024.
Are you kidding me?
But here we are. Before you know it, the calendar will be turning again, and that means we are already getting ready for 2025 conferences, and one that I'm personally very excited to attend, again, is the Insights EDU conference. If you care at all about growing enrollment and building a student-centered higher ed experience, you really should be at this conference. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available. Visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register. That's visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Are you enjoying the conversation so far? Good, I hope so. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early before anybody else and ad-free, so you don't have to hear my voice during these ads? And did you also know that you could get extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. So go to edupexperience.com, that's EDUP experience.com, and become a subscriber today. First, you got to sign up to our free email newsletter, and then you'll find out how to become a subscriber. Again, go to edupexperience.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. I think that tagline that we have, we make education your business, has an extra special meaning today. Is we're going to have a discussion about education in general, about reading and books and how we've come to where we are. It's funny, I before we start and I bring my guests in, I was watching this clip on Instagram. I don't remember where it was, but it's this family sitting on the couch. And they're all on their iPhones and devices. And then a little kid walks over and they all pick up a book to hide. And then so they're all holding the book, hiding their devices. So they never actually put the device down. They just masked it with a book. And you just go, man, what a crazy world we live in now, where everything we do is on a device. What that does to us to disconnect us in many ways. And I think we're going to talk a lot about connections today. And I've made some new connections today. We're going to have a very interesting group of guests. Let me bring them in one at a time. Here we go. We're going to go first. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Adam Rifkin with us. He is a Hollywood director of his new film, Last Train to Fortune. Adam, welcome to an EdUp microphone. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing even better that I have you guys here. And let me get in our other guests, because I know we're going to have a fun conversation. I'm not even sure how to introduce him, but I'm just going to figure it out. Hollywood actor extraordinaire. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Malcolm McDowell. How are you, Malcolm?
Great, thank you.
Did you know that you were extraordinaire?
I've been called a Hollywood actor before, but I'll take it.
Well, you know what? We got to bring our higher ed audience up to speed here. You know, how are you guys doing? Everything okay?
It's great. We're of course separated by a continent. I presume, Adam, you're in LA. I'm in Newfoundland, which is a piece of granite rock hanging out in the Atlantic on the east side of the continent.
Yikes!
In Canada, and it's the closest landmass, I'm told, to the wreck of the Titanic. Not that I have any interest in going there, but
I know do that.
I know Bill Paxton, actually. This is where he stayed when he went off to do that thing with James Cameron. You know, they did this documentary about it, which lovely, actually, really amazing. And they went down to the wreck. And actually, I went into this local watchmaker, and he said, oh, yeah, Bill bought all my watches so he could take them down there and give them away as presents. This was at the wreck of the Titanic.
That's crazy.
Oh, that was a really cool thing to do.
Well, you know, one really cool thing to do that you guys are doing together is a film called Last Train to Fortune. And Adam, I want to kick it over to you to just talk about the film, why it's so consequential and how it has a personal connection to you.
Sure. Well, Last Train to Fortune is a Western. It's set in the 1870s. And just to give you the brief elevator pitch, it's about a British school teacher played by legendary Hollywood actor Malcolm McDowell.
Extraordinaire.
Exactly. And he plays Cecil Peachtree from London, traveling across America to get to a tiny little frontier town called Fortune, where he's been hired to be the new schoolmaster. But on the final leg of his journey, he gets stranded on a train platform because he misses the last train to Fortune. Thus the title, of course. But while he's trying to figure out how to get there and what to do next, he's held up by an outlaw on the train platform. And because he's so desperate, by the way, the outlaw who holds him up is played by the great James Paxton, son of Bill Paxton. As out of desperation, Cecil says to Dooley, the cowboy, that instead of just riding off with the money I have in my pockets, if you ride me to the town of Fortune, which he has learned is a 2-day ride by horseback, you can have my entire teacher's stipend, which is waiting for me in Fortune. And Dooley has no interest, but needs the money. So he agrees to take Cecil on this horseback ride to Fortune. And along the way, in addition to having a number of obstacles and adventures that get in their way, they also form an unusual connection because Cecil is obsessed with books, loves them, passionate about the characters and the authors, but he's never actually lived any real adventures himself. All the adventures that he's so excited about are the adventures he's read about in these books, whereas Dooley has never, he's basically illiterate, but he's lived a life of actual adventure. So they're coming at this journey from opposite ends of the spectrum, and along the way they have a meeting of the minds, I could say. So, and the reason that the movie it has a very personal connection to me is it was actually written by my mother, Michelle Rifkin, who is still alive and doing well, but was a lifelong teacher herself and was pursuing writing when I was growing up and moved to Los Angeles not long after I did in the 1980s. And she became successful writing cartoons for Saturday morning shows like Winnie the Pooh and the Smurfs and shows like that. But she was always writing screenplays on the side in hopes of breaking into the movie business. And she wrote this script for a PBS contest where they were looking for a Western. And the film almost came together a number of times. I'll let Malcolm talk about that, the first time that all came together, almost came together. But, my mother, all my life growing up, my sister's life growing up, she, being a teacher and being passionate about education, she instilled in us both a love of books, a love of learning. And it was interesting making the movie, hearing some of my mother's words coming out of Malcolm's mouth as Cecil, because Cecil says many of the things that I know were passionate to my mother all these years growing up, my years growing up. So that's the personal connection it has to me.
Amazing.
So let's follow that trail, Malcolm. The movie almost came together a number of times. Tell that story.
Well, yes, because initially, I think I was actually working with Brad Wyman, who is the producer of Last Train to Fortune and was the producer of this little movie I was doing in, I don't know how long ago, 25 years ago or something like that. Well, I'm not sure of the date. I think it was 91 or something, 1991. And he got me the script, said we should do this, and I really liked it very much and really connected with it because of the beautiful use of literature and the books that I knew very well growing up in England. Of course, Shakespeare, Dickens was, red meat for us. And at the time, there was nobody really set. It was all a bit tenuous, and staying with me just happened to be this great director, Lindsay Anderson, who was a great devotee of John Ford, who, of course, made some of the greatest Westerns ever made. and was one of the absolute greatest directors that ever lived, and by common consent, by the way. And so I gave him the script, to my surprise, because he never did anything really that he didn't write or at least control the writers. He liked it and said, yes, why not? So I got a meeting. I think Adam was there too. And because at that point, Adam was going to produce it. So we all went for dinner with Bill Paxton. Bill was excited, and all. And we were all very keen to go. Lindsay left back for England, and I think within a few months only, he passed away, sadly. So it was kind of put on the back burner for a bit, and I think that was the way it went. I mean,
that's how it went.
Yeah, that's how it went, yeah. And so a couple of years ago, Brad Wyman, again, was up. Were you with him that time he came?
I was.
We had kind of lunch.
That's right.
And I think he said, what about that Western? And I went, I've always loved that script. I mean, that's one of that and another script called Mario and the Magician, which is a Thomas Mann novella, which is another great screenplay that's never been done. But Michel's screenplay, I never forgot it. And I said, I'd love to read it again. And then I think I had the idea, well, let's get James. It just, it felt right. He also lived in the same town up, and I just thought that it would be a karma, to have James do it. And I think that Bill would, wherever he is up there somewhere, would look down on us and smile, and be proud of him. And that meant a lot to me anyway. And I think to Adam too. And all of us were thrilled. And he came and read it. It wasn't an audition. We just read it. Because, it's good to sometimes just read these things, get them on their feet, as it were, hear the words and see whether they still mean something. And I think this script, funnily enough, is more poignant now than even it was 25 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because now, we don't read books at all. But, they said this, of course, when books came in, they were going, yes, but, what about the storytellers? And now they're writing it down. I mean, what's going on here? It's the same. It doesn't matter, but look, there's I don't think necessarily, of course, that social media has completely, destroyed reading per se, literature. But it certainly, it's certainly not as popular, is it, reading the classics as it was. And, as an 11-year-old boy, I had to read Shakespeare, and I had to learn it too. And in fact, had to partake in productions. And of course, Dickens, that was a part of our English schooling, taking English and knowing the language. And of course, Dickens is one of the greatest ever storytellers, quite extraordinary. And so, this whole thing of Cecil and his bag of books that he protects with his life, that it does filter through to the audience, of course, who these people are, Thoreau, and, all these names are banded around. Well, we're just hoping that somebody will pick up a book. Who knows? I mean, look.
One can only hope. One could hope. Right?
Well, it's not our job to force literature down the throats of people. It's our job, really, to entertain them. As a byproduct of that, if they go, I wonder what that book is about. Why are they putting their lives on the line for this? Let's find out, even if they I think you can get Dickens' stories on on CDs, can't you? And sort of books on tape. Yeah, you can get anything on books on tape. Yeah.
You know, I think about that all of what you said here, and well, two things. One, let me just say I've made a decision that if I ever create a personal AI program, I would like Malcolm McDowell to voice it for me. And then secondly, when you make a movie like this, Adam, back over to you, you're kind of boosted by the personal connection, right? You've got your mom, you've got this great script. It's been in the works, but then, as Malcolm said, it becomes much more consequential now, important now, because everything that the movie will represent is, I don't know, taking us back to a time when we imagined things for ourselves instead of went to AI to get some Cliff Notes version of a book. And it takes away so much imagination and ideation and, I don't know, self-discovery. Did you think was this timed in a way? Did this movie need to happen now, or is it, talk about that a little bit?
It wasn't intentionally timed to be as topical now today as it happens to be. When my mother wrote it in the 1980s, I loved it when I read it, and I found the message of the beauty of learning and the fun of books and the importance of education to be inspiring. But that concept was not controversial when she wrote the script. Cut to today, as I'm sure you're more aware than anybody, education is under attack right now. Books are being banned and burned across the country. And we just happen to have a movie that is set in the 1800s that is as relevant today as had it been set today. It just happens to be a story set in the Old West. But I really do feel that the timing, even though it almost got made in, like Malcolm said, in 1991, and we talked about making it several other times throughout the years, and sadly in 2017, Bill passed away, and we thought, oh, it's never going to happen now because Bill's gone. And then a few years later, James, his son, steps into the role Bill was going to play, and all that's very exciting, and we're all very proud of that. But it's just interesting to us all. Even before we started shooting, it wasn't as relevant as it has become now that the movie is now finished. And especially with social media and kids being so conditioned to not read, not be reading, not seemingly having any interest in the concept of reading. And Malcolm's right. Our job, first and foremost, is to entertain. But in the process of entertaining them, if we can inspire them to be curious about some of these books, curious about what it is that has these characters so passionate within these pages, we just hope we can spread the word that education is essential. It's fun. Learning is exciting. Books can take you anywhere, more than any movie you can imagine, because the screen is in your mind. Your imagination runs wild. And that to me has always been exciting. And now we really want to take control of what happens to be a perfectly timed zeitgeist for us, and really lean heavily into the fact that, hey, if education is under attack, we think it's important that you check out this film, because you'll see education is not only important, but it's fun and it's inspiring.
Epic.
Malcolm, I want to that is just a great way to say it, but I want to come back to something you both said in a different way. But your first job is to entertain, and then there could be a byproduct of that. And I almost wonder if it's reminding parents. There's going to be a lot of people that watch this movie that have kids that are addicted to devices. Maybe those individuals, those adults, are addicted to devices. That to remind you of these classics that you had, we all had when we read these in school, back when they had these books in school, that we had taken a journey with these books, that reading is fun, that we can get off of our devices, that we can have personal interaction. So, how important do you think it is to remind people? I mean, as a byproduct. Calling all higher ed marketing and enrollment management professionals. Hear, hear. The Insights EDU conference is back. This is your chance to level up your marketing and enrollment management strategies, and the EdUp Experience podcast will be there once again. Join us at the Ritz-Carlton, New Orleans, February 12th through 14th for an unforgettable conference. Registration is now open with early bird pricing.
Outstanding.
I cannot believe that we're already in the back half of 2024.
Are you kidding me?
But here we are. Before you know it, the calendar will be turning again, and that means we are already getting ready for 2025 conferences, and one that I'm personally very excited to attend, again, is the Insights EDU conference. If you care at all about growing enrollment and building a student-centered higher ed experience, you really should be at this conference. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available. Visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register. That's visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register.
You can always read them on the devices, of course.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd rather read a book personally, but because
isn't there a feeling of having a book that just you can't?
No, it's not even that. I think it's a strain on the eyes to read a Kindle for too long, or a computer screen. But and you're right, to actually have a book that's bound and then the pages is really beautiful. And, I'm from the north of England, and I remember very distinctly finding, for instance, American author Saul Bellow, who I was obsessed with. I thought he was one of the greatest writers that I've ever read, and so brilliant at his descriptions and the atmosphere he created in his novels. I was also a great lover of Graham Greene and even Somerset Maugham. They're probably old-fashioned now, but really, if you want to read about what life was like in the 30s and 40s, which was quite extraordinary, then, they are masters. They're master novelists, and but yes, I think that, look, I really don't think there's anything wrong with social media stuff and getting online and all that. We all do it. Let's face it. We're all obsessed with our phones. I mean, good God, if we lost the iPhone for just half a day, you'd think the whole world was coming to an end. Because everything is on it, And it's sort of
left your phone behind somewhere or lost it. It's like the world is ending.
Yeah. Oh, somebody stole mine in London. I was watching a football match in a pub, and I had my phone out because my son was calling me from California, and we were talking about the match we were watching live, and it was stolen right from under my nose,
Outrageous.
Outrageous, yeah. But I survived it. Weirdly, I didn't even know this, but everything, all the pictures I had and all that, which is really the most important thing to me, were the photographs of the family, basically. Everything is saved in the cloud, and I didn't even know that. So when my new phone arrived, it was all intact. Everything was there, just upgraded. But that's a whole other story. But yes, but it is our intention first, and it was Michelle's too, to make his, to hang the education thing, the novels, the books, the beauty of them, to hang it on an adventure story set in the West. And by the way, I'd never made a Western. And, coming from Liverpool in England, the Western was our favorite movie to see. It was just so extraordinary, and I couldn't really get over the fact that where we shot a lot of the movie called Melody Ranch, they have the street and they have the saloon and the jail and all that. Those buildings, it's a Gene Autry ranch that was the very street where High Noon was shot. And you knew that, right? Didn't you?
Absolutely. It's so cool.
I mean, I was wandering around going, now, did they stand here? Where were they? What were I was a kid when it came out, and it made such an impression on me. Oh, what an extraordinary movie. And then I, of course, remember Stagecoach and movies like She Wore a Yellow Ribbon and My Darling Clementine, which were classics. I mean, those movies, you know, John Ford, you know, made movies really an art form, which they may not have been considered an art form, but they, you know, he was a very, very great artist, of course. And so it was interesting. That is one of America's great contribution besides jazz. It is the art form of movies. And so it's something we can be proud of. Even, and I'm American. I'm only half English.
My mother, I should say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. My mother, I should say, my mother, when she was writing the script, she injected her two biggest passions into the script. One was education, because she was, as I said, lifelong teacher. The other was her love of Westerns. She grew up loving Westerns as a kid, wanted to be a cowgirl. And so this was her opportunity to put the two worlds that she most loved together into one story. And I think that shows through. I mean, the passion that she put into the pages and the passion that we all have for the genre. And it was a fabulous experience.
I've got to ask you, did you watch the movie when your mother saw it first off? Were you with her when she watched it?
Yes, I was with her in her...
and after all this time of nearly happening, never not happening, never gonna happen, people passing away, this, that, and the other, and then suddenly there it is.
My mother was laughing, crying, and was so moved to see it come to life. She had always been so excited about, especially with the first time we talked about it, when Malcolm was going to play it the very first time, and Bill was going to play Dooley the very first time way back then. She was so excited because these were two actors she absolutely admired, and she said that they both fit to a T the way she imagined in her mind how the characters would come to life. And so then as the movie unfolded, Malcolm, of course, was always so monogamous to this film. I mean, he was committed to it from day one, and no matter how many times it almost came around and then we forgot about it for a few years and came back again, we were talking about it again, he was always steadfast that when this movie is ready to go, let's make it. I'm ready. And we were all so heartbroken when Bill passed away, but when James stepped in to play his role, nobody could take over a role for Bill Paxton other than his son, James. Nobody could step into those larger than life shoes. So she was just as excited when James was going to play the role as when Bill was going to play the role. And when she watched the movie, she cried. She was so moved. I was so moved to be able to have played a part in bringing this to life for her. It was a really, really great moment.
Amazing.
I've asked you that before. I'm so glad you told me, because I imagined that would be the case, and I wish God I'd been there, but I could imagine, you know, and thank God we did it. You know, we did it. You know, but it was so cool. It's really neat, you know.
Yes, I agree. My mother is old, and she's living in what's called the Motion Picture Home in Los Angeles here, which is a retirement community for people from the entertainment industry.
Oh.
And she's
an incredible place. Incredible.
Great place. And she from the neck up, she's great. She's got some physical issues that keep her from being super mobile, so she wasn't able to visit the set, which she would love to have done, but she couldn't. So when I was able to bring the movie to her and we watched it on her iPad in her room there, she was just moved beyond words.
Did you watch the movie with her, or did you watch the movie with her, or did you watch her, Adam?
I watched her, you know, and then I showed her an earlier cut, And then subsequently, we watched every cut that, as it got more and more refined. The original cut, I think, was 3 hours long. It's a 90-minute movie now, so there was a lot of different versions along the way. But she watched every one of them, and she's so proud.
Yeah.
I love that, right? Because I can imagine, just imagining what the range of emotion must have looked like and what that would have felt like for you. And I want to ask you, ask you both this question in your context as a director and actor. Where does this movie rank for you, Adam? You've made other movies. Is there a increased level of responsibility you felt because you're both honoring your mother's legacy here, but also that there's an education factor to this, and education's so fragile right now that you felt like, I had to, where does it sort of rank? And the same question will go to Malcolm in terms of, was there an increased responsibility that you had to give this role because of the books that it was honoring?
I'll say I felt a tremendous sense of responsibility to my mother, to Malcolm, who I have admired my whole life, to James in honor of his father, Bill, Brad, who I've made many movies with throughout the years. I felt an increased responsibility to him to do the best work of my career. I really wanted to make this movie the best movie I'd ever made, the best movie that could be made of this material. I felt like the whole time that I was carrying a vial of nitroglycerin, like that at any moment, if I drop it, we're all going to blow up, and it's all on my shoulders. I have to carry it very delicately, but luckily, so, knock on wood, I think it all turned out great, and I'm extremely proud of it.
Malcolm, same question to you. Having the role, the books, the responsibility.
Honestly, look, I honestly didn't feel that pressure. I refuse to put myself under that kind of pressure. It's a movie, it's a role. And I tried not to think about it until the very last moment. And because I wanted to be spontaneous and I wanted it to come from the heart and just be an emotional response, not be considered or technical in any way. It's not that kind of part and not that kind of movie, Also, we were extremely limited because of budget restraints. In a way, I personally think that was a good thing, actually. And because, we had to do all the dialogue. I believe it was in 11 days, pretty much, which is insane.
That's got to be incredible, yeah.
That's basically, as I joked, but actually I was half serious, this part is longer than Hamlet. And just has a complete verbal diarrhea, but that's who he is. And that's what it's all about. He may be pretty irritating to some and probably is, but that's okay. That's okay. And, but did I feel a responsibility? No, only to, I think, making a good movie. So I would have to be responsible to my director. Because, the director's, it's his vision. And in this case, it's with his mother, it was their vision. And we wanted to honor that and get it right, which I think we, in most cases, did. So,
absolutely.
If we $1 million, probably could have made it. I don't know, though. It's interesting. Sometimes when you don't have that much, you have to really get imaginative, and you have to, get a little bit to the bone. And sometimes it gives it a sort of energy, which is, which often cannot be found on these huge budgets. Not that I've made really very many of those, but I've done my fair share. But I love the fact that we did this so fast. And to be honest with you, I don't think it would have been any better, if we'd had another week. I mean, maybe Adam would have liked, a few more shots outside. Of course, directors always want more. But frankly, I think that we did, for what we had, it was fantastic. And, this film will find its audience. And, it'll definitely have its place, because a really wonderful little movie, you know, and whether people will find it now or in a year's time, I don't know, but they will find it. They will find it.
Well, I think that's why I was excited to have you guys on, especially with the audience in higher education. We've got a lot of faculty. You have people who are classically trained in liberal arts and English, and who are going to have a great interest in a film like this, especially as we in this industry in higher education fight the attacks on education. You know, there's a general attack on the value of education, the value of a college degree, whether these things, if you need them, can you just learn everything you need to know through artificial intelligence now, and you don't need to pick up a book and do it. So we deal with these conversations on a daily basis, which I think this is just a perfect audience for you guys. And I want to be able to give you an open mic. Malcolm, to you first. Is there anything else that you want to say about this film that you think needs to be said to this audience?
Well, look, I'm preaching to the converted here because, you know, your audience are literate. And they're well educated, pretty much. So, you know, but of course, it's sort of gone a little bit out of favor, you know, reading novels and stuff. But of course, to me, my generation, the novel was the brilliant place to go to escape. You know, I lived. Well, my father gave me one great gift, and which was he, you know, gave me a private education. I was very lucky, and sent away to a boarding school, which saved my life, actually. And that is where the headmaster also was. You know, he loved the theater and took us to see Olivier at the Old Vic and all this. So I really got to be inspired by these great actors because of the headmaster, who was this wonderful man, actually, and it meant a lot to me. And so really, Cecil, it reverberates a little bit, this headmaster, Mr. Baker, who was, you know, my head and was an incredible educator, and inspired me, actually, to be an actor. There's no question about it. So that's very close for me. It's a subject close to my heart, you know. And so emotionally, I'm a little more sort of interested in this movie than most of the stuff that I do. But, you know, listen, I'm a professional actor, and, you know, you do what, you can only do what you're offered, you know. So if I go off and now have to play serial killers, okay, well, occasionally I do that too. But I've been very lucky with my career, and I've had a good variety of parts, you know. Here I am up in Newfoundland playing an old granddad in the family. So I've come the full circle, you know. So Cecil Peachtree.
Many roles in your, so many roles in the spectrum.
Cecil Peachtree is one of my favorite characters. I have to.
What a compliment.
That I really love the man. He's, of course, insufferable in many ways. And you'd love to just say, shut up, occasionally. And he even pissed off the outlaws, as well as poor old Dooley, about rabbiting on, blah, 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 blah. But that's the way he is, you know, that's just him. But no harm, no foul. You know, he has a heart of gold, and that's, of course, ultimately what counts. And so, yes, I think I just think it's a damn good entertainment. So for your audience listening, I think they'd enjoy it on that level alone. And it's very nice, you know, to hear the names of Dickens and Shakespeare and Thoreau, the Bronte sisters, whatever it is, whatever great novels he's talking about. But it's sort of nice to hear them actually on the big screen, because you never do.
Yep.
I mean, okay, you get these English things, you know, Jane Austen things, but they never really say who the author is, do they? The Sense and Sensibility, you know, or whatever it is. But it's really wonderful that this film goes into and names the classics, and I think that's fabulous. Of course, he does have quotes occasionally and stuff, But I think you cut most of them out, didn't you? Adam?
There's still a bunch in there. Still a bunch in there.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, the weird one that I thought you would cut, you kept in, and I thought it was the Richard. It was the Macbeth quote. Oh, you shouldn't even say Macbeth, but you're not supposed to repeat it if you're a theater actor. You're supposed to go outside the dressing room and turn around 3 times and knock on the dressing room door to come back in. It's all absolute bull, but we do it as young actors, you know. I used to say it on purpose just to freak out the older actors. But yeah, so I just think that they'll get a kick out of it. You know, I hope they do.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a storied actor. I've done so much, and I don't know if you've done podcast hosting, but for a time in this episode, you took over for me and started asking Adam questions, which was fantastic. It gave me a great break, so thank you.
Well,
add it to your resume, podcast host.
I didn't mean to take over, but it's nice because I haven't seen him in a bit, and I've been working, you know, so hard that I've not really had a time to sit down with Adam. And, you know, since I've seen the movie, actually, we had a screening in San Francisco for some friends of mine up there, and they absolutely loved it. I know you were there, but we were sort of saying hello, you know, being,
Sure.
we
didn't get a chance to really hang out.
And we will do. When I get back, I'm going off to do another couple of things. But actually, I'm going to make a movie of Death in Venice. I told you that, right?
I think that's going to be great.
But that's a good, wonderful book. There you are. And we're going to make it. Now, often, great books don't make great movies, you know, because, I was offered this movie years ago. John Schlesinger was directing it, and Nathaniel West, the one about Hollywood.
The Day of the Locust.
Day of the Locust, right? He offered it to me, and I read this thing, and I thought, what's the script? It's just terrible. There's no plot. This. And I passed on it, you know, because, of course, the book is absolutely brilliant, but it's atmospheric, you know, it's all, you can taste it, you know, you read it, you can absolutely just taste what he's going through and experiencing. But in a movie, you've got to have a strong sort of plot line through to carry it on, you know. And for instance, I will say a movie that I made, which you've probably heard of, A Clockwork Orange, a book written by Anthony Burgess, which is a very great book, actually, I think, and a classic as well. I think Kubrick made as good a movie out of that book that anyone could possibly do. And that is one of the rare instances where a great book made a great film. And it's only because it had such a strong narrative. And that's why. And why it is poignant today is because of the political content. You know, it's about whether, you know, man can choose, you know, the freedom of man to choose. Simple as that, really. Either to go this way or that way, you know, the good or the bad or whatever. But that's basically what the whole thing's about. But so there you are. Anyway, sorry, I've gone on too long.
I love it. And you know, the education allows us to think critically, and we could use more civility in the way that we speak to each other these days. And Adam, I want to give you the final word about this film, open mic. What else do we need to know about it that we haven't talked about, and take us home?
Well, I'll just say this. The movie's going to open sometime later this year. We want to we want to take the movie to schools and to libraries. We really want to do a bit of a road show unfolding across the country, screen the movie for young people, do discussions with them, give out books. You know, all these books that are mentioned in the movie are in the public domain. So we're going to print a bunch of copies of these books ourselves. We're going to hand them out. We really are hoping to be able to have some fun, share a movie, talk about books, share some books, and hopefully inspire some people to want to read some books. want to see some more Westerns, want to have some fun. And I think that pretty much sums up what we want to do with the movie. You know, I'm just so thankful to Malcolm and to James and to Brad, who produced it, and to everybody involved, and to Daniel, who's listening right now. Just everybody who has believed in the project and believed in the message. And I really am excited to be able to start sharing it with the world and inspiring people as the words inspired me.
Great.
Well, there you have it, everybody. What an honor to have these two gents on. As Malcolm said, he's never been introduced as Hollywood actor extraordinaire, but I'm going to outro him the same way I brought him in. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Malcolm McDowell. He's a Hollywood actor extraordinaire, and nobody will be dumb enough to say that again. But here at the EdUp Experience, I get to do what I want. And, of course, amazing director Adam Rifkin, The Last Train to Fortune, coming out later in 2024. If you care about education, you'll care about this movie. And we thank you both for making it. And we're going to all tune in and catch it. And maybe when it's out, Adam, you can swing on back and tell us what kind of reception you've had and talk to our audience again.
I would love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd. Higher education is evolving. And if you're in marketing and enrollment management, then you need to be at the Insights EDU conference.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Insights EDU 2025 is happening February 12 through 14 in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is your chance to explore the latest trends in higher education and discover new and innovative strategies to level up your program marketing and enrollment. Hear from some of the best speakers in the industry, from companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and more. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available.
Hey, everybody. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Did you enjoy that conversation? I hope you did. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early on and ad-free? And you can also hear extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com to subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, that's edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.